The story of Jay Slater has gripped the public with an intensity few could have predicted. What began as a missing persons case in the Tenerife Mountains quickly spiraled into an international headline, a tale of a teenager whose final days became the center of endless speculation, hope, heartbreak, and debate. Now, as his family prepares to say goodbye at a funeral that no parent should ever have to plan, they've announced a new fundraiser to ensure Jay's memory lives on. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. This latest move comes just weeks after the astonishing outpouring of support through GoFundMe, where over £75,000 was raised in mere days to fund the search for the 19-year-old apprentice bricklayer from Oswestwizel, Lancashire. But behind the figures and headlines lies the raw grief of a family still trying to make sense of their unimaginable loss. A community that refused to stay silent. When Jay first went missing, his story spread like wildfire across social media. Friends shared urgent appeals. Strangers amplified the posts. Celebrities quietly retweeted. The photo of Jay grinning, eyes sparkling with youthful mischief, festival wristbands stacked on his arm, became a symbol of urgency. The GoFundMe page, launched within hours of his disappearance, was supposed to raise just enough to cover flights, hotels, and on-the-ground expenses for family and friends determined to join the Spanish search. No one could have imagined that within a week, donations would flood in from every corner of the UK, Ireland, and beyond. Builders, pub regulars, school teachers, pensioners, even anonymous benefactors, they all gave. Some sent heartfelt messages alongside small sums. "I don't know Jay, but I've got a son his age. Please bring him home. Every little helps. Love from Glasgow." The fund surged past £10,000, then £20,000, until it reached a staggering £75,000. For the Slater family, it was more than financial help. It was proof they weren't alone. The agony of the search. Yet, money couldn't buy miracles. Despite helicopters scouring ravines, drones hovering over jagged rocks, and volunteers combing through dangerous trails, Jay was never brought back alive. His final known movements, leaving an Airbnb in the remote village of Masca after a night out, attempting to walk miles back to his accommodation in Los Cristianos, remain etched in painful mystery. The official search eventually scaled down. His mother, Debbie, exhausted but defiant, stayed in Tenerife for weeks, pleading for answers and railing against online trolls who speculated cruelly about her son. His father, Warren, returned home to Lancashire to care for Jay's younger brother, but his heart never left the cliffs and dust where his eldest had vanished. When news finally broke that Jay's body had been discovered after weeks of searching, the nation seemed to exhale as one. The fairy tale ending so many prayed for had not come. Instead, a family faced the darkest truth imaginable. A new fundraiser, from search to legacy. As the funeral approaches, Jay's family has announced a new fundraiser. This time, the focus is not on finding him, but on honoring him. The GoFundMe page has been updated with a fresh mission statement. "We cannot thank you enough for the incredible generosity that helped us during the most desperate days of our lives. Now, as we prepare to lay Jay to rest, we are launching a new fundraiser to support both his funeral costs and a legacy project in his name." Jay was full of life, laughter, and energy. "We want to create something lasting, a youth foundation that will help young people chase their dreams, stay safe while traveling, and have opportunities Jay never got to fulfill." The fundraiser aims to cover the expenses of a service that is expected to draw hundreds, possibly thousands, of mourners. But beyond that, it has a deeper goal: to build a charitable initiative inspired by Jay's life. Remembering Jay, the boy behind the headlines. To outsiders, Jay Slater is a name associated with a headline, "Teen Missing in Tenerife." But to those who loved him, he was a vibrant teenager whose life was far more than its tragic end. Jay was cheeky. He cracked jokes even when he wasn't supposed to. At family dinners, he'd steal chips off his brother's plate with a grin that dared anyone to tell him off. At work, he'd impress older bricklayers with his determination, his hands quickly learning the skill and rhythm of a trade he hoped would one day support a family of his own. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. He loved music festivals, nights out with mates, and long football sessions at the park. He wasn't perfect, what teenager is? But his imperfections were part of his charm. Friends say he had a way of walking into a room and making it feel lighter. Jay was just full of it, you know, one of his closest mates, Lucy Maylaw, shared in a tearful tribute. Full of energy, full of cheek, full of love. He lived fast and laughed loud. It's not fair that we've lost him. A funeral like no other. The family is now preparing for what will likely be one of the most emotional funerals Lancashire has seen in recent years. Local churches have already warned of space limitations, and talks are underway to potentially use a larger venue to accommodate the turnout. Floral tributes have begun arriving early: sunflowers, Jay's favorite, mixed with roses, lilies, and handwritten notes. His school friends are planning to wear customized shirts with his name printed on the back, while builders from his apprenticeship scheme are organizing a convoy of work vans to line the streets in his honor. Music, too, will play a central role. His playlist, the one he used to blast on road trips with his mates, is being compiled into a memorial soundtrack. Expect festival anthems, dance beats, and songs that capture his unstoppable spirit. The fundraiser will ensure that this send-off isn't just dignified, but deeply personal, a celebration of life rather than a ceremony of loss. Trolls, rumors, and the fight for truth. Of course, the Slater family has also had to contend with a darker side of public attention. Rumors circulated online about Jay's disappearance. Trolls accused the family of misusing funds. Others spread vile conspiracy theories about how he died. Debbie Slater has spoken out about the torment of reading lies while grieving. It's like losing him twice, once to the mountains and again to the trolls, she told a local reporter. The new fundraiser, she insists, is about transparency and positivity. All proceeds will go towards funeral arrangements and the foundation being created in Jay's honor. She hopes it will silence the critics and refocus attention on what really matters, remembering her son with love, not speculation. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. A legacy for the future. So, what will Jay's legacy look like? Early discussions suggest the family wants to launch the Jay Slater Foundation, an initiative that could provide scholarships, travel safety programs, and youth opportunities across the UK. The idea is to turn tragedy into hope, ensuring that other teenagers and families are supported in moments of crisis. For a boy who dreamed of exploring the world but never got the chance, it seems a fitting tribute. Already, schools and community groups in Lancashire have pledged to support the project. A local football club has offered to host charity matches in Jay's memory. Festival organizers who once saw Jay among the crowds are considering dedicating an annual event to raising funds for youth safety abroad. In a way, Jay's story isn't ending with his funeral. It's only beginning. The heart of the matter. Behind the figures, behind the headlines, behind the trolls and the tributes, lies a simple, heartbreaking truth. A family lost their boy. The fundraiser may ease practical burdens, the funeral may bring closure, and the foundation may offer hope. But nothing will ever replace Jay. Yet, perhaps that is where legacy steps in. Not to replace, but to remind. Not to erase the pain, but to channel it into something meaningful. And maybe that's why people keep giving. Because in some way, every donation, every flower, every shared post says the same thing: we see you. We hear you. We will not let Jay's name fade away. Conclusion: love that outlives loss. As the Slater family prepares for the hardest goodbye of their lives, their new fundraiser has struck a chord with those who followed Jay's story from the beginning. It's no longer just about a search. It's about remembrance. It's about legacy. It's about making sure the laughter, energy, and spirit of a 19-year-old from Lancashire doesn't end on a mountain trail in Tenerife. Jay Slater's story began with tragedy, but perhaps it can continue with hope. His family, armed with love, grief, and the unwavering support of thousands of strangers, are determined to make sure of it. Because sometimes, the measure of a life is not in its length but in the love it leaves behind. And by that measure, Jay's was nothing short of extraordinary. Subscribe the channel to get such videos.